Hello and welcome to the final bell. It is great to have you with us for another week, another very exciting week after a big Cats win over the Kangaroos. I'm joined by Meg McDonald, as I am every single week. Hello, Meg.
Hey, Lingy, how are you?
Very, very well, actually. More importantly, how are you? I know the Cats had a good win and the ground looked magnificent. It's great playing 1 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, family-friendly time, but I believe you were taking in the pre-match from very comfortable surroundings.
Yes, I certainly was. Club Chin Chin is soon to be officially open in Geelong. It's been open for match days, and me and a few teammates were invited on in. So 11 o'clock banquet, really, and it was absolutely delicious. I'm not going to lie, I had a Negroni at 11 a.m. and
so you should too.
It was delish, and what can I say? The duck was incredible. The beef brisket was incredible.
Stop it, my mouth's watering.
I know, I had to nick off to do some media, and I missed the Penang curry, but I've had it in the past, and it is just moi. So,
can you fill me in and at the listeners? Match day experience is that full exactly what you're describing on as a lunch, and then come out, there's seats available at the
chef
front.
Selection, and then you it's beautifully decked out in, I love myself some pink, and it's a box of pink, and then you go out and you've got these beautiful plush seats in the Joel Selwood stand, and enjoyed a big victory. So
wow, what an experience.
And it'll be open, I gather it'll be open throughout the week as a restaurant, and then on game day. So a really strong endorsement from me. I will be seen there again, and I've got a number of friends who are hitting me up for reservations.
Well,
so I don't know what I can do about that. But
I heard that it is maybe going to prove difficult to get into. So jump onto it early, everyone, and get in there, because it'll be so popular. I can't wait to check it out. I'm hoping to be able to go along to the soft launch, or whatever they call it, or whatever it's called these days, but looking forward to that. Onto the game, and we will get to some questions later on, as we like to do every week. We will look ahead towards what is a massive clash against the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba this weekend. But it is fair to say, I'm not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves for the Cats, it was definitely a slight mismatch of where two teams were at in their development and progression as a team. But it's still a game of AFL football, and you still got to turn up and be super professional and perform to a level to get the win. And that's exactly what the Cats did. It felt like, here's a professional team who's just gone bang. Made sure North had no confidence, took the game away from them, and made it a pretty comfortable day. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And I think we're going to sound like I think in this context, it's good to sound like a broken record and it means you're getting consistency, but it was the even spread of contributors that I thought, and yes, it's a sign of a professional team. I think we would have perhaps expected that sort of scoreline and dominance, particularly if Dangerfield was playing, Hawkins was playing, and you have our most experienced members out on the park. But to see that kind of performance with a debutant, with someone playing their fourth game, Shannon Neal.
Yeah, I reckon it would be third or fourth.
And
Connor O'Sullivan had a couple of good moments where he was steady, and then that really good mark amongst a lot of bodies. That made everybody smile a bit, which was great to see.
Yeah, I think he fit in really well. Did you see that beautiful photo? Oh, I'm not going to know who's taken it. Producer Jake, do you know who took the photo of Connor 14? Brad. Oh, Brad. Love your work, Brad. It was had the 14 on the back through Joel Selwood stand. I'm sure it's on the socials.
Beautiful.
I think Joel posted it himself or reshared it. So it was a great image, and he looked like he was really comfortable at the level.
Very, very nice. You do mention younger players playing. You mentioned a couple of key players out. It also does help a little bit when one of the very best players in the entire competition decides to just show his absolute array of skills. Jeremy Cameron, 4 goals to halftime, 6 goals for the match, roamed around everywhere and completely owned the game.
Completely owned the game. I mean, he must have he's hitting them that sweetly. And there's something about, I want to put this to you. Obviously, Darty loves his golf. There's something about his kick that really reminds me of that sweet, sweet golf swing, I guess.
It is just sweet, isn't it? It's natural.
There's no flick. It's just.
And
how's that go on the mic? Sorry, that's a special skill of mine.
That was a nice sound. But even his understanding and knowledge of his own kick, whether it's a snap, okay, I'm kicking round the body from 40 versus 20 metres. I'm kicking a drop punt from a 45-degree angle on 50, so I swing through it a little bit. Just his complete control of his art form of kicking is superb. And I felt at times for that young North Melbourne backline where they, and it might be great for their development and their growth. And I thought Charlie Comben had some nice moments in that backline. But at times, the players who were lined up against Jeremy Cameron just saw the aerobic capacity you need to be up, around the ground, through the middle, through traffic. And all of a sudden, oh, hang on, he's appearing 10 metres out from goal as well. That was a little bit of an eye-opener to a young defensive group for North that, oh my goodness, you don't just need to be big and strong as a key defender. You got to be able to get on your bike as well.
Yeah, exactly right. I think if I was a defender in that setting or in AFLW and the way I am coached, if my key forward is going up the ground and getting involved, 100 metres from goal, I'm like, see you later. You can go. I'll stay here and you'll kick it back to me. You can't do that with him because he's so damaging when he gets the ball up there. He either gets involved in a chain of possession and slots the goal, or he sets someone else up for a goal. His score involvements are just as high or higher than his, 6 goals straight. So he's a danger all over the ground. Good luck to you. It has to be a team effort, surely.
It really does. You mentioned Tom Hawkins out before the game. Shannon Neal comes in. We'll get to some of the, as we look ahead to the Brisbane game later, but it sounds like, Tom, that was purely a management thing, so should be right to go. Jai Clark came on as a substitute. He replaced Mark Blicavs. From all we're hearing, Blitz is all good to go, which would be fantastic. And hopefully, we'll touch on this a bit later, there might even be an extra person coming back for the Brisbane Lions game. Again, I reckon we saw a forward line work really well together. Admittedly, it was against a younger defence and we had total control of the game and you got Jeremy Cameron dominating. But Brad Close, superb. Tyson Stengel, excellent. That forward line looked really dangerous. Graham Myers, again, very good. But I want to talk a little bit about the midfield.
Yeah.
Because it got me a little bit pumped. Okay, Paddy, who, as I'm alluding to, might be coming back. Great. Cam Guthrie eventually will hopefully come back. There's that experience. But Tanner Bruin, I reckon, took another little step. Brandon Parfitt continues his really good form. Jack Bowes, I thought, was brilliant in the midfield and time and awareness, and was able to get around and buy himself extra time and use the ball really well.
Wasn't he? I mean, we was, as noted, I was sitting in a beautiful seat in the Joel Selwood stand, and there were just 2 of, I believe, 6 centre clearances that he got that I'm thinking, all right, he's under pressure, he's kicking the ball forward for territory. No. Straight onto the chest, straight through the big sticks. I mean, his ability to gain territory but also put it to advantage of a teammate was, I thought, really, really significant. And he must have a great mentality at the moment, because I can't imagine that being a little bit injured into the, when selection's going to be tight, you're a relatively new member of the team, and then you have I think he might have had a corky in the sort of end of the preseason. To take that in your stride, bide your time as the sub, and then contribute the way he has once he's got his opportunity from, the opening bounce, is really impressive.
Yeah, he's taking every opportunity. You're right. Throw in the continued good form of Max Holmes off half-back. There are now really genuinely multiple options to go through. We're not just grasping at straws saying, oh, well, while Paddy's out, this player could maybe do a bit. Everyone who's going through there is having a real impact.
Oh, every time Tanner does something, we get excited. He's just, I think his grit is evident. But you're right about Maxi Holmes. He's hitting the score, but I noted that he's got equal amounts of rebound 50s to inside 50s, and the goals that he's kicking are not normal. I mean, they are. I mean, the one against Adelaide was a one-step 60-metre bomb from the boundary from 50. On the weekend, he's been incredibly impressive, and I tell you what, I think there's a question coming later about kick distance. Do whatever he's doing because his power is enormous.
It certainly is. That one, the long one, was one of 27 different goal reviews we had to sit through.
Oh my goodness! You could hear the crowd getting
very frustrated. One in particular took a long time to sort out, and I know it was difficult because each of them actually needed a review. Like it was that close.
Yes.
So it's hard when it's happening so much. We all want it to speed up, but we also all want the right decision. Yeah. Because if it was going against us in a super close game and then we lose that game and it turns out, oh, look, we rushed through this review and we should have won the game, we'd all be fuming. So
wouldn't we?
We've got to put up with them, but can there just be a slightly more efficient way? Maybe. But anyway,
not to harp on it, but what's the result? We were having a discussion we couldn't remember. You know there was one where it was, did it score or didn't it score? Did it hit the point or was play continuous? Just say it's decided no score.
Yeah.
What then happens?
So I was asking my son this, my oldest boy who's onto everything. I said to him, what do you think happens here? Because they basically stopped continuous play because the goal umpire thought it was worth a look. If it had been determined that it was still in play, I'm assuming it goes to a ball up. Surely. But I don't know where. I don't know if it's top of the goal square or it's 20 metres out.
It's not on the line.
Can't be on the goal line because, well, you're not allowed to hit the ball directly through on the full. But if it was on the goal line, you kind of accidentally have to. Yeah. But I don't know if it's top of the goal square, 20 metres out. I don't know. So I need to clarify that one in case I'm commentating in that game.
Say, I don't know the rules of this game.
No. I actually thought it hadn't. I thought it was going to be called no score. Anyway, that's focusing on the goal reviews. Let's focus on the Bendigo Banks Meet the Moment nominees. That's where we celebrate the 1%ers that happen in the game. Given we are recording this on a Tuesday as well, Meg, so this is still open. Yeah, voting is open. Thinking Sam de Koning maybe closing speed on Nick Larkey a few times. I like Larkey as a player, by the way. He continues to work so hard in a young team.
Doesn't he? I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. I was having a discussion weeks ago, so not relevant to the North game, with Tom Stewart about Nick Larkey, and he was expressing just his respect for him and what he's been able to do in a team that gets such limited supply, and he's historically been sort of, the sole, damaging player in that forward line. So there you go, an endorsement from the best in the comp.
The best. So maybe Sam de Koning's effort on him.
Yeah, I think the thing that I really like about it is you can be really dominant, you can play forward half footy, and as a defender you're going, I haven't touched the ball, I'm not in the game here. But the critical moment when it does come, the ball comes into your D50, you feel like we've been up. You can lose all momentum if your defence then isn't also on point.
Ready and desperate.
So it feels like a reassertion or an extra assertion of the dominance when you can't even get a look in when you get that one chance.
I think in the last few weeks, almost a permanent man who's got to be spoken about with the Meet the Moment is Brandon Parfitt.
Oh, my goodness.
Whether it's his tackling or his repeat efforts or his hard work, even his smother in the game. Oh. I think it was it Aiden Core who he has so many moments at the moment where he's showing to me, okay, I get it. I've got to do everything I possibly can to stay in this team, and I want to be in this team. He's one that fans might want to nominate for that Bendigo Bank Meet the Moment.
Nomination, second week running, I think, from Parf, and I don't think we can go any further, Lingy, with that. I've got a nomination from the media and comms team at the club. Producer Jake.
Producer Jakey.
He's made his return to football this year. Look at him. He's having a laugh.
What's he done?
Turn the camera on yourself.
There he is. For those watching, what's Jakey done?
Look, forward pressure act, inside 50. He's
desperate tackle,
forced to kick out on the full, and his teammate's gone and finished it for him. So
the teammate gets the reward through his hard work.
Jake was the one who met the moment.
Wonder how many other kicks Jakey got for the rest of the game. Did he?
Other kicks? He didn't say that he got a kick with that one. Meet the Moment isn't about kicks.
No, that's exactly right. If you want to nominate producer Jakey, you can do exactly that. The winner's going to be announced on Wednesday, so jump into that really quickly. Hey, I want to take a break, Meg, because I want to look ahead towards Brisbane. Super quickly, though, Mark O'Connor, great news, signed a 2-year extension.
2-year extension. I would have loved him to kick 2 goals. Like, he had that second set shot, and I think the crowd was so ready after Rattlenbog played after the first one. I was like, this is awesome. Oh. This is going to have to turn into a thing. Yeah. The new stand, I think Standing Room is up for it. And I'm going to have to check with Mark. I don't know if that was in the back of his mind when he then got the second set shot. Like, he knows what's going to happen. This is going to go off.
Put him off. Oh, the crowd loved it.
Yeah, it'll take him to 10 years at the Cats, this new extension, which is, such an achievement with his pathway.
Great effort. Let's take a break. We'll talk Brisbane next. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell. Meg, I want to look ahead to a huge game Saturday night. Geelong taking on the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba. A really good test because the Lions have found a little bit of form, struggled a bit to start the season. They then knock off North Melbourne in a pretty comfortable win, but a terrific win last Thursday night, against Melbourne. And they look back towards that team that had obviously got so close in the grand final. At the Gabba, always hard to beat. Geelong going in 5-0. This will be a great test.
It will be a great test. What did we go down by 11 points last year at the Gabba, slightly later in the season? I mean, our forward line, as you know, is humming, but theirs just found their form, I think, on the weekend. They've got, I think, I always, I'm such a huge fan of our backline. I think, this player will go to this player will go to this player. But, maybe it'll be the Camerons at either end of the ground that prove the difference. Who knows? Could decide.
Those sorts of players can decide games. The midfield and those pushing through the midfield got a little bit of form too, I thought, from the Lions. And Cam Rayner is one who's number 1 draft pick, has always shown his incredible talent and potential in fits and spurts. I think it's fair to say. Last year was getting more and more consistent, and I think showing certainly on Thursday just how good he can be as a player. For Geelong, mentioned it earlier, Tom Hawkins, 99.9%. I would say with any of this, always keep an eye on the health update that the club will release on the website because we're recording this on a Tuesday. Lots of things can happen.
Also, they don't tell us everything.
No, they don't. Tom Hawkins likely to come back. Mark Blicavs likely to be okay. And Paddy Dangerfield more than likely will play, or is that a definite, you think?
I reckon he's probably in. And actually, while we're on Danger, this is totally off topic. I meant to say off the top, there's something that's been eating at me for a week now. I don't know if you know what it is. No. I hope you don't.
No,
you don't. So I shouldn't worry about it because listeners, off air last week, we'd finished the pod. Then a chat started happening about people who wear their socks pulled up. And I was...
Yes, it did.
I was, to be honest, I don't know. Not for me. So I'd just like to issue a formal apology. It was a big week for you last week and you were a deserved elevation and...
Meg suggested that people who wear their socks up, you don't like the look of the socks up.
I mean, I'm have my reasons. I think it depends what sport you come from. I come from tennis. The notion of having a sock go over that calf is ridiculous in that sport. So, but that's not true of this sport and the legends of our club. So pull them up there.
Please tell me that hasn't bothered you all week.
I'll just be, mowing the lawn as discussed. I now have a lawn, listeners, and I mowed it for the first time yesterday. And I think, oh gosh, I said that thing about the socks. Anyway, there's an insight into how my brain works. So
please, if you're ever worried about anything like that, ask any of my friends and those who still work at the club if I hold on to anything like that or if I just move straight on, because it will not be a problem at all.
I knew you'd moved on. I had not.
No.
Anyway, get him back in and bring his socks is the point.
He'll have his socks pulled up. Sometimes he does play with the socks down occasionally. It's funny when whatever Paddy's vibing, he will go the occasional sock down. But it'll be great to have him back in there and as part of that midfield that we've been discussing that has shown so much with him being out against a really good midfield in the Brisbane Lions. Obviously led by one man in particular, Lachie Neale, 2-time Brownlow medalist. Great challenge. The next run of games, Meg, is... So 5-0 sets up a season where we can Obviously, attack things with real positivity. Hopefully, in the long run, if the results continue, there's an opportunity for some management when the time arises. But the next month is pretty big. Brisbane, as we've already touched on. Carlton, Saturday twilight. Melbourne at the MCG, and then Port Adelaide here at GMHBA Stadium is the next month. Looking at that, more than likely four finals. 9-0. I love it. 4 likely finals teams there. It's huge.
Unlikely finals venues too. I mean, at the MCG.
Gabba, GMHBA Stadium for finals.
Yeah, start it. 40,000 now.
Yes, correct. And anyone wanting to go along, especially to the Carlton game, that's the next home game that Geelong has. It is at the MCG, but it is a Cats home game. What are the membership options again? I'm often get confused about what's available.
I think we've got lots, Lingy, but I think the best bet is the Flexi 6 membership for this sort of situation. So, as I understand it, that gives you 6 tickets to use. You can either take 5 of your mates along to one home or away game in Victoria and all go together, or you can go yourselves to 6 different games, once again, home or away in Victoria. So plenty of options to suit you on the website, but I reckon that's the one looking at the month ahead to get onto.
I like that option. And that month ahead, not that I'm talking losses or wins, and this is just, footy fans to throw this around. Even if that was split 2-2, even if it was, that's a 7-2 start to the season. Would set up the year brilliantly. Now, I want that to be 4-0. It could be 0-4. All these possibilities are there, but you think of how important banking these early wins are to attack the deep, cold parts of winter when the bodies get sore. Obviously, some bye weeks to manage around that as well, and then the build into finals in a terrific position.
How do you view the sort of necessity of a loss? Obviously, you never go in wishing for one. You don't. You'd like to think they're not necessary, particularly as the team, I think, is as professional as it is. But there's no doubt that lots of people in sport understand how much you can take away from that sort of thing.
I've always thought that a loss can maybe just reinforce some things a little bit stronger than a win where you are still attempting to strongly analyse and challenge and, do all the things you say you should be doing. Just subtly. I'm talking 1 or 2% here. You can go, oh, yeah, I get what the coach is talking about there, but we still won. We still won by 25 points, 50 points, 75 points, whatever it might be. Yeah, I see it, but I think a loss it's no longer a but. It's, okay, I see it. And it's just subtle. I think this early on in the year, as the team, certainly with the youth that's in there, players like Brandon Parfitt having an impact, I don't think there's any chance of complacency. I think they are still super sharp. It's as you get deeper into the season and you're probably more happy, comfortable with the way the season's progressing and your own form's progressing. It's like you can just oh, righto, mate. We're going all right. Rather than really deeply going, okay, I see we're not outnumbering as much as we should there. Behind the ball, we're a little slower to set up because we think that player's going to win the ball comfortably down there. And, oh, no, it's come out quick. And against teams who are at a different phase in their development and their growth, like we played on here on Sunday, that ball may not come out as quick towards North Melbourne's way or any of those other teams' way. So you might be comfortable in your setup. But then when you face really good opposition, certainly in finals, that the ball does come out and that play you thought wouldn't get beaten, gets beaten, and you need to cover for him. Yeah. So all those different things. So it's a long-winded answer, but I just think at the right time it can have a more profound effect on the mindset of the group.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think it's then a month later. So perhaps you have a loss and then it's learning to work. What does Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday look like when that happens? We want to say that you approach them exactly the same way, and hopefully you do. And then you look back and think, oh, there have been peaks and troughs and bumps, and here we are doing well. So it's nice to have that sort of reassurance too. But listeners, we're not wishing on one.
No,
certainly not. Let's go 9 and 2.
I love it, Meg. Love it. Possible people who might come in the VFL. Obviously, we keep a very close eye on the VFL. They recorded their first win of the season, a 53-point victory over the Northern Bull Ants. Before I get to who sort of played well or didn't play well, just do yourself a favour, please. Do what I had the fortunate thing of doing was Meg showing me James Willis's mark against the Bull Ants. I hadn't seen it. I'd missed it. It is one of the best
You
marks.
can go back to it. He's still up there, mate.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You're all good.
It is one of the best marks I've ever seen. Now, that's not hyperbole. That is a fact. He launches. It's almost...
Got the ride.
Almost, not quite, but Gary Moorcrofty. Like, it's just that sort of height and...
Just need to lean back a bit further and he would have been.
Yeah, so it's not a pack, it's just one. It's just a brilliant mark.
Yeah. It's a great mark, and as we've been saying, there've been a few at AFL level who have dropped some cars.
Ollie Dempsey nearly took another one here in front of where our seats are.
I was saying to Jakey, I think he just hurdled him. He probably should have got a little bit more contact, but he's so springy, he just went straight over the top.
Up. And I loved his little play with the crowd up. They gave him the clap. And he turned to them just like that look of like, oh, I had it. Oh, good, I had it.
But no, what an absolute screamer. And the thing that I love about them is the audacity to leap. Yeah. I think that's something, I've got a lot of friends who talk about bringing that into the women's game. Obviously, you've got a slightly more spring in the men's game, but it's just that mentality. It's like, I'm going to fly for it. I am absolutely putting myself in the equation here.
Just launching, love it. So check that one out. Mitch Hardy, very good. Again, 27 disposals, couple of goals. Lawson Humphreys, who just talking around the traps with some of the assistant coaches and some of the recruiting team, very happy with the way he's progressing.
Left foot, hey? Little left foot off half back never hurts. 25
possessions and a goal. And I know someone that all the listeners right now, the Geelong fans, will be keeping a close eye on when he's playing VFL, when he gets his chance at AFL. Toby Conway. So first half, 15 disposals, which was a game high, 4 clearances, and one, according to my stats here, 17 of the 21 hitouts for the first half. That's an impressive first half. Am I right in asking then, and apologies for this, that he only played the first half?
I think he continued on.
He continued on, okay. But that was the big highlight of it.
That was the match report highlight of Toby's game. I remember last year we spoke at length about going back to the VFL whenever you're asked to and asserting your dominance and keeping your level at AFL level. Looks like Toby's certainly done that.
And actually, good point on that, because I was talking about this with someone on the weekend, on Sunday, and they said, with Paddy coming back and that, does that mean Jai Clark gets squeezed out? Now, I'm not here to have selection or anything like that. Jai might stay in. But even if it is, it's not a bad thing for Jai, because he's had this taste, a chunk of AFL football, and he can then go back. Now, what I want to see from Jai is exactly what you're alluding to there. Play at AFL level and AFL intensity at the VFL, which should lead to some pretty great results, individual results, but also for the team. Get a heap of the footy, learn other ways to get some easy footy as well as that hard footy he so naturally craves and gets. And he could come out of a little spin in the VFL, if it happens, even more ready for AFL than when he jumps back up. Potentially that's the outcome.
Yeah, we say the same in AFLW. Unfortunately, at the moment, the seasons aren't aligned. So VFLW is happening right now, and obviously our season happens later in the year, but it's an opportunity which we constantly say to the developing players in our squad who are playing at the level at the moment, are playing VFLW at the moment. That's what you've got to get a sense of. You have to, I think, use it as an opportunity to know what it feels like to be assertive, to have people to move through traffic with strength, to want the ball in your hands more than others, because you can be in the AFLW squad and feel like, I'm new to this list.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by players that have played for a number of years. I'm feeling a bit unsure in this environment. I think the VFLW and VFL gives you a chance to be that player and know what that feels like from from a physical but also from a mentality point of view.
Absolutely. Speaking of AFLW, they won their second game on the trot with a win over the Falcons. Terrific win. Bridie O'Rourke played first game for the Cats.
First game, pulled the hoops on. Bridie's been doing really well at the skills sessions, and that we have most. I came from one today to get on the podcast, and she pulled them on for the first time, and I gather went really well.
Excellent.
Looked very comfortable on the ball by all reports.
Excellent. Heading to Sydney next weekend to take on the GWS Giants, so hopefully they continue on their winning ways. Let's take a break, Meg, because we've got a heap of fan questions that I'd love to get to. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell. Meg, time for some questions.
Let's go.
As we say every week, please keep your questions coming in. We love hearing from you. We also love hearing maybe some suggestions as well. Who do you want to hear from on the pod? What do you want to talk about? What do you want us talking about? Any interview requests? Any fan shout-outs? Have you got one?
I do have a fan shout-out, Lingy. Look, are we making a habit of this? I don't know.
I don't know if it's a habit. We make it up as we go along.
We make it up. All right. A little shout-out to Ursula, who I gather, I don't know if you know this, your friend Olivia has got in contact and said some very nice things about the podcast, so big fans of ours. Ursula's heading overseas in May. Big decision. I've got 2 sisters that live overseas. I've done it briefly myself a long time ago now. So good luck. Have a great time. Broaden your horizons. Gather that experience. Bring it back to wherever you are.
And keep listening to the podcast while you are overseas.
It's the beauty of the internet.
It is.
When I went overseas, that was not a thing.
No.
The internet was. The internet was.
It had been invented by then.
It had.
Okay, good. Good. First question for us today, Meg. This one's from Dor Matt. I get it. 92. When you watch a game live...
I didn't, but I do now.
When you watch a game live, what are the things you are looking for most others would not be looking for? Do your eyes go behind the ball?
Yeah, I was just going to say, my biggest wish is that if I could just have a behind the goals camera as part of the broadcast. I just that's how I like to view the game. Obviously, it's as a defender where you look at most of your review footage and you learn from. So shout out once again to the Joel Selwood stand. Had great behind the goal vision on the weekend. So I'm looking for that, and particularly then how we sort of hold our defence behind the ball. Is everyone going up with their opponent? We talk about rolling around in our team and how that's happening. Basically, how does Tom Stewart get himself free?
Yeah, it's incredible how he does do it. I do a lot of games live because of my role through commentary, and then I get to as many games as I possibly can. I don't love watching heaps of football on TV, but of course I do when I have to, because I want to see just beyond the camera shot. And I love, and it's funny you talk about looking at defence. I do look more through the middle of the ground, through the congestion and setup, but how we, or any team, effectively gets the ball away from either a stoppage or congestion through different running patterns, through a setup that allows a really efficient exit from congestion or a stoppage, where those players come from to do that. So that's why I love being at the ground, where I can see, okay, so that's the half forwards are doing that, but then that player's worked from that side of the ground all the way to over there, and he's got on the end of it just through sheer work rate. Some get on the end of it through sheer smarts. Mm-hmm. Seeing all of that, I love, because then I can get an understanding of the teams that are on the same page. Teams that you can see that their training work they've been putting in is now playing out in the games. That's the stuff that just through repetitious training you get that connection together. And I also use it, I must admit. I store it in my memory bank for when I coach junior footy. I think, okay, so see how that person works from there to there. Now, how can I really strip that away and simplify that down to help an 11 or 12-year-old understand, okay, don't just sort of like track the ball and just ball watch for the next 30 or 40 seconds and you're never with the play. Understand where the ball might be going next, and you might be able to cut an angle and end up back where the ball is. So I love filing that stuff away for AFL knowledge,
Yeah.
but also teaching at developmental level as well.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. That's one of the things that I think you've got to learn. I still, shout out Daisy Pearce. I will never forget in one of my first years of footy, opening my brain up, just making the point that you can't be on every chain of possession, as you say. Yep. So, to talk to people that are up and coming about predicting the way the game's going to go and getting in a position to receive 2 or 3 possessions down the track. I think that's really important as you're learning. And also, how would you coach a young person to play like Jeremy?
Jeremy.
Don't just go get the ball. Guys, hold.
There's certain instructions you can give certain players. I remember playing on James Hird, and I have no doubt his instruction from Kevin Sheedy was, you just go where you got to go, mate. Forward, midfield, behind the ball, pretty much roll around. That's the instruction you give to Jez. If you reckon you can influence somewhere, you just go for your life.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to tell a kid that. Actually, that's how kids should play anyway. To sometimes just go and just play, but just try and add tiny little ideas every now and then. Yeah, not to overcomplicate it too much. Thanks for that question. Claudia Sol asks, do the fans help with motivation during a game? I would say yes, absolutely. You sense it. You be the same. Like, you become used to playing in front of crowds. It's just through, and sometimes the crowd can just disappear a little bit. Yeah. But then when it's a big game, good opposition, the game's on, and you've just wrestled a little bit of control back and there's a goal you can feel that, this, we got the crowd, we got this. That's when it comes back in. So chunks of the game, the crowd, when you're in the moment, you're playing, can be kind of irrelevant a little bit. But then there's moments where the crowd just lifts you that bit more. No,
I'll never forget when our W team probably really noted that for the first time. We had a sort of comeback win against West Coast a couple of years back. Darcy Maloney kicked a goal with like a minute to go, and when we'd gone a goal down, it was probably the first time that we heard the Geelong chant really ring true at GMHBA Stadium, and I've noted as such a key marker of progress for our league, the fact that we are getting more and more of a home ground advantage and more influence from the crowd. And please never underestimate the influence of getting really vocal. I know that's such a focus for the club now that we've got 40,000. Let's hear every single one of them. Yeah, absolutely. No, couldn't agree more. Claudia, thank you for that one. Sean has this one, Megan. It's for you. Now, I know there's still a pre-season to go through and everything like that, and you'll get an even better idea of the list and how it's shaping up for the next AFLW season. But Sean asks, Meg, who are the AFLW... Sorry, I do remember your name. That is A-OK. Meg, who are the AFLW Cats players you expect to take the next step this season? Is the modern game demanding players be coached to afford more team versatility? Coached up for versatility, perhaps, he means there. Who are they? Well, I think every single one of us will take another step this year. I had a really great conversation yesterday with... both Rachel Kearns and Nina Morrison about where we are in the stage of growth as athletes, and the fact that, even taking a cue from Cam Guthrie, who spoke about it on the series we're doing on him, that a good year comes from everyone. No matter where you are in your development, everyone should take another step and contribute to the ultimate success. I don't think that's the answer you were looking for, though. So Darcy Maloney trained incredibly well this morning. I know she's had a tough gig as probably that fourth-ish midfielder at the moment. With you've got Georgia Prasparkas, Nina Morrison, Amy McDonald, who are in there all the time. So I think Darcy's trying to take that next step up and be the next go-to. So I'll give her a shout-out. And my favourite is Aisling. Lingy. Go. Well, God, to another level again. Please. Well, she's the best first-year player in the comp last year. Do you know what she's doing at the moment? She's farming at home. Really? Yeah, she's a teacher by trade, but she's spending some time on the farm. So I expect her to be even more powerful this time next year. So I'll give you those two, but I'm expecting it from everyone, and everyone that I've had a kick with thus far is looking good. All right, keep on rolling. Rosie has this one. How does the team connect with each other outside the game? How does it help the game? Club Chin Chin. Yeah, that's where we go. No, I mean, just knowing I think we say so much about relationships, but the more open you can be with someone, the more, I'll give her another shout out. So Rachel, our Irish teammate, lives with me when she's in Australia. We just had a fantastic chat last night about how I was feeling like, I was just in a bit of a bad mood during a skills session, the other day. And, I feel like I'd given the wrong impression to a couple of new people on the list because I was just not my best self. But I knew that wouldn't be an issue for players that I'd played with for 4 years, 5 years. The more you know each other, the more open you can be, the more you can communicate, the more you can get the best out of each other. So I think that's really important. And then there's, of course, the more time you spend together on field, you know how people are going to move, when they're going to tick, where they're going to be to give the hands, all those things that are much more obvious. But I think it's the interpersonal stuff that really helps.
What's the go-to social activity? I know with a lot of the men's guys, it's golf. They all seem to love their golf, and back in my day was the same.
We got a couple of golfers. I think chess. Big at the moment in the offices downstairs. I haven't started on the chess, but
wow, things are stepping up at the Cats.
Really, Queen to
round robin tournament.
That's not what I meant. I
meant Queen to Rook 5 or something like that. Or
E5. I meant to say what is Not what did you say? What did Ron Weasley say in the Philosopher's Stone, Jake? But I'm not going to do my impression.
Movie buffs? Is there
yes, a couple of us are movie buffs. I would identify as a huge movie buff. There's a lot of coffee. There's a bit of... We're doing some taekwondo at the moment. I'll give you one. There's I think we love getting around other women's sports. So a couple of girls made their very quick trip up the highway from the game here to go and watch the Melbourne Derby. So the Mavericks in their first hit out. So I think that's a massive one for us. If there's women's sport of any code anywhere else, a group of us usually go.
Yeah, fantastic. It's funny how people like within a team find their little pockets of similar interests, and whether it be chess or whether it be something else. For me and a few of the guys, Brad Ottens and Timmy Callan, who was on the list for a while, was surfing. We loved just escaping and going for a surf.
I would love that to be my thing. I just think it's a danger to start mid-career or like towards the end of career. What do you think?
You just have to pick the right conditions. Just a couple little 1 or 2 footers rolling along. You could get out there. It's nice, healthy pursuit.
I tried to put a team meeting in on Monday, for our leadership group, and Nina Morrison's like, I should be able to be there, but I'm at Urban Surf on Monday.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Going up to the wave pool. Very nice. Beautiful. I haven't done that before. I would love to do it. This one's from Dallas. How do you teach yourself to kick further?
Over to you.
Let me start by saying this, Dallas. Sometimes it's just natural. You can see it. We were talking about Jeremy Cameron in the first segment, and others. It is and I know they learnt it at some stage in their life, but in that junior, they just have a beautiful technique, a beautiful leg swing. The timing's just there. Some of them don't need a hell of a lot of teaching. But if you're someone who kicks the ball pretty well, pretty accurately, but you're talking about pure distance here, Dallas, I've got to say it's hard work and practice. And by that I mean, yes, there is something to leg strength. You need to have the leg strength and the leg power. So that is, I don't know how old you are, Dallas, so be careful if you are a junior. But if you are a senior player, it's in the gym, getting that power and that strength through some gym work. Looking at your technique, what's your back, what would that be called? Extension?
Backswing.
Yep, backswing. And your follow through, is it?
Backswing, such a tennis thing.
But it is,
you wind up.
Is it through the full range? Are you following through, or are you pulling up short? I think a big one that I learned was your plant foot is really important.
Yes.
So are you rising up through your toe? And if we're talking about set shots,
not overstriding.
Yeah, are you hitting your plant foot toe and actually coming through it? So your momentum at point of contact is still up and through the ball rather than staying flat or slightly leaning backwards. That can be one of it.
I think there's getting consistency with your contact point on your toe. We've had it, not on your toe, on your foot. And then we've had a lot of discussions recently about making sure you get the right amount of, you're practicing getting good revs on the ball, getting that flight to be really predictable. But as you say, it's repetition, and the answer is not kick it harder.
No, that is a big one. You're right. And it's funny with kids, 11, 12-year-olds, the idea is kick it harder and kick it so hard they almost want to, this is going to sound funny, burst themselves backwards because they're kicking at the ball and going backwards.
They're kicking at it, not through it.
And it's like, well, no, that's defeating everything you're trying to do is go back to timing, like a golf swing a little bit, but timing, but extend up through and get that momentum going up and through the ball is a big one.
Two things. I think on that one, when we were talking about Jeremy Cameron's game on the weekend, I don't think I've ever looked at Jeremy, whether he's kicking from 20 metres out or 55 metres out, and thought he's trying to kick it hard. So you look at him, his timing is just exquisite. And I think for me, the way I like to learn is I like to watch people that are fantastic at it and just really try and visualize them a lot of the time. I was saying to a teammate, I was kicking the other day, and I was like, I was just trying to think of Mitch Duncan the whole time. I was like, Mitch, how does Mitch kick now? I wouldn't be so forward as to say I thought about that, and then I was the best kick in the team, but it didn't hurt. We'll say that much. And to that point, I think we've got a series on the way with Mitch. So masterclass with Mitch Duncan. Keep an eye out. A little teaser. Some how-tos.
How to kick with Mitch Duncan. Very, very nice. But I think with that masterclass series too, he's going to go through a range of things, handballing, marking, all that sort of stuff. So I was about to say to any of the young people listening, but I reckon anyone who wants to see how it's done really well, check that one out once it lands. Masterclass with Mitch Duncan. That'd be really cool. Thank you so much to everyone for their questions. Great set of questions this week. Please keep them coming in. We love to hear from you. As I said, any suggestions with who you want to hear from as part of the podcast, Meg and I will try and get them on. Meg's been nailing. Not, it'll
just mean more of us.
Yeah, but you've been nailing. Mark Blitzarv's chat was fantastic last week. Lots of good feedback about that. So please, any suggestions, let us know. That is us done for the day. We now just cast our eyes towards Saturday night at the Gabba.
Are you going?
No, I am staying home. Channel 7 wanted me to work at that one, but it is week 1 of the juniors and I'm coaching under 12s on the Saturday. I said, no, I'm going to prioritise coaching my son's footy team.
Oh, good.
Which is something I really wanted to be there for.
Home, away?
It is an away game at Queen's Park, so a whole minute away.
Yeah. Rolling down the hill.
Yes, I will be sitting on the couch watching the Cats take on the Brisbane Lions. You'll be the same?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's hope we're both watching a win for the Cats against the Lions and take them to 6-0. It will be a ripper. We will be back next week.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we will. See you then.